Out of the communities that you've been having, which country has the best and active communities in Africa?
I'll be biased in this one.
Hello, guys. Welcome to today's TikTok Africa podcast. I'm your host, Jesse, and today we are doing things remotely and we are having fun. This is going to be an amazing podcast for the communities all over the world, basically tech communities. And I don't know if any other community can join these, but this is the highlight. Anyway, normal studio days, I'm usually telling people about my day, but today I'm alone. I don't have my co host, so I don't know what to do. But we have someone from the community. So, hello, Wamide. Can you tell us who you are and your name and where you're from?
My name is Wamide, and I am the Ecosystem and Partnerships Lead at Propel. I am Nigerian and I live in Lagos, Nigeria as well, although I'm currently in Canada visiting family.
Okay, so awesome. You've heard she's Nigerian and we are expanding borders. TikTok Africa is going worldwide. After winning an award, we are going worldwide. So, Wamide, can you tell us how you found yourself in tech?
I haven't always had a conventional path to tech, but I did start off in tech over 10 years ago. I have an undergraduate degree, bachelor's in computer engineering. So, yes, I decided to pursue tech because it was interesting at the time, and I thought, let's explore what this could look like. But after that, I did have a couple of transitions. And 6 years ago, I took an MBA, went to business school, and switched into a little bit of business and tech management. So, although my work is first in tech right now, the past 4 years was more in energy, supply chain, and things like that. And I only just transitioned back into tech about 2 years ago. So, yeah, I was in tech, went away, and came back.
So, what made you come back? Because the notion outside here is once you go away, you never come back. Is it the money or
Well, maybe it's different from me because I don't do core coding anymore. I did start off my career as a front-end engineer, but I quickly found another way out. Um, After my career as a front-end engineer, I went into consulting and I did enjoy a lot of leveraging technology as a business enabler. I was working with clients who were implementing systems, enterprise-wide transformation, and managing projects like that. So I was very, very impressed with what tech could do. In just transforming, in automating, and in enabling businesses around the world. So my work has always been kind of related to that, even outside of tech. But I did want to enjoy more flexibility. I did also want to contribute a bit more, especially in product related and product led companies. And that's why I came back into tech.
that is so like some whole chunk of information. I thought you said, "Hey, I love tech, money is so good, and all this and all that," but it seems you
Nah,
have
it's
a
personal
purpose
for
in tech.
me. Yeah.
Tell us what you do. What do you do at Propel, basically, and what is Propel?
Okay, so I'll start off with defining Propel. And Propel is, we say we're powering the future of work. Propel is basically partnering with tech communities across and beyond Africa to deliver value at key stages in the career journey, in the personal journey, in the financial journey of the community members that they have. So you can think about Propel as a community accelerator, a community aggregator. Our work essentially is to unlock potential in talent, especially tech talent, basically opening you up to jobs around the world and also opening you up to financial inclusion. And my work as the ecosystem and partnerships lead is basically to find and acquire communities that can join our ecosystem, manage and nurture those communities so that we can deliver all of this value to their members and also drive product adoption. So we do have a proprietary platform where all the things that we offer, the job listings, the discounts, the financial inclusion, all of these are listed on that platform. So my role is basically like a funnel, find the communities, bring them in, make sure the members are on the platform.
How do you validate all these communities? Because these communities are very many. Some have different interests. Some have growth. Some just love the money. Some love the partnerships from the bigger from big tech, basically. So, how do you find like this is the perfect form community for them to join with Propel?
So for us, the key thing in validating a community, we have a couple of shortlisting criteria, but the key thing is that you've been around for say at least a year. Because community building is such a dynamic thing that when you start off thinking you want to do something, it's just like a product. You finally realize that your members need something else and you continue to grow. For us, we want communities that have been around for a while and kind of have understood what they do. We also have a minimum membership base that we expect for the community to have. Currently, it's pegged at 50. We'll probably go to 100 next year. And then we expect that you have some social media presence. And then we also oversee and check about the quality of the programs and initiatives that you run. There are various communities, just like you mentioned. Some are just focused on networking. Some others are focused on training and mentorship. So we want to ensure that whatever initiatives and programs that you're running, that you're able to churn out quality talent because those talent become a part of our pipeline and make it easier for us to be able to place jobs and in turn help you supercharge the growth of your members.
Wow, that is much. I'll take you back to something you said about financial inclusion in communities. How is that done? Since communities just come together and bootstrap something, how does Propel enable like the financial?
That's interesting. When we set out to do Propel, we started off as hiring and placing freelancers. But as we continue to do that, one recurring theme that we kept hearing from most of the people that we placed was, oh, I'm part of XYZ community or I'm part of ABC communities. And it started to occur to us that communities were really the building block of the ecosystem, especially with regards to all the growth we had seen on the continent, right? It seemed like everyone in one way or the other was part of a community, whether as a silent member or as an active member, and that community was pivotal to growth. But in doing our research, we also did realize that a lot of communities were being bootstrapped. So our work is basically to help communities solve that last mile problem, right? After you've trained all these people, after you've done all these initiatives, done all these events, how do you take all that work and then make money from it to drive your community operations? So there are two key ways that communities can get financial inclusion from Propel. The first is through direct hires. When we hire a member of your community, you actually get compensated for it. So we get paid by the client and you get paid a certain percentage of that fee as a community. And then the second thing is through event support. So for every community that is listed on the Propel platform, they all those communities have a certain number of users on the platform. And for each user tier, then you're also eligible to a certain sponsorship payout amount when you have an event or when you have a program. So far, we've sponsored over 50 communities across various initiatives from Nigeria to Ghana to Togo to Rwanda to Uganda, so and Kenya, of course. So yeah, that's how we drive financial inclusion for the community today. For the members, on the other hand, what we're working on is a feature that allows people to actually be able to buy devices and pay back over a period of time. So it's a buy now, pay later um, feature, and as well as a cash loan, credit basically that they can get and pay back over a period of time.
Is that through the communities or through Propel? Because that is a very very unique way. Because I've seen communities suffer. You join a community, they teach you, they do startups, and then those startups come to fail if the founders are not like so bootstrapped into the ecosystem. So how is that done through the community like GDG Kenya
Okay,
or
so it's
just
through
through Propel
Propel
direct the
Direct, but it's
community?
still through your community. So I'll explain. So as a user, the typical journey is that to be part of Propel, your community should already be listed on Propel. So for instance, if you are part of GDG Nairobi, then GDG Nairobi already has a unique URL, and GDG Nairobi is actually a partner with Propel. So you have a unique URL on Propel. So gdgnairobi.propel.community. A user that's part of the GDG Nairobi community goes onto that particular URL. They can sign up as a user. And when they sign up and sign in and create their profile, then they get access to the finance feature. They can go ahead and apply for a loan. We will do a KYC, do a credit health check, and if they're eligible, then they can start applying for either a BNPL, which is the buy now pay later for devices, or a cash loan. Currently, that particular feature is to go live hopefully by the end of this year. We're rolling out in Nigeria first, and then we're going to roll out to other countries in.
I feel like all my problems of joining a community have been sorted by you guys, like literally, because it's usually like politics in these things, and you guys have decided just to come in the middle and depoliticize everything.
Pretty much, pretty much. We want to make it easy for anyone who's looking to start, transition, or advance their tech career to find a community and grow in that community. So you can get on the Propel community platform and find a community that aligns with your, skill set or your country or your expertise, right? We very well know that communities are grouped based on like interests. So if you're a front end person, you can find a front end community. If you're a data related person, you can find a data community. If you're a cybersec expert, oh, we have cybersec communities as well. And we're, continuing and looking for more and more communities to join so that we can truly drive growth across the continent and, and the world at large.
How is your pipeline from the community level to employment level? Because the employment part is now the trickiest part beyond
Yeah.
finding the communities. How do you figure out, okay, this is the person that needs to be employed somewhere else? Communities have like 1,000 people. How do you narrow down to?
Okay. So between the jobs and the ecosystem team, which is what I manage, where the communities come from, there is the talent team at Propel. So the talent team takes care of nurturing, of qualifying, and placing candidates to jobs. We start off first by making sure that people get into our system. So you can get in either by applying directly for a job through your community. So if you're going to your ggnairabi.propel.community page, you will see job listings on there. If you decide to apply for a job, you get in. And you can also just join our talent pool if none of the jobs interest you at this point. After that is done, we take the time to qualify every single person that has come through by doing something called a jury validation process. So this jury validation is done by a group of senior tech talent who go through your either your job application and your CV and kind of say, oh yeah, Jesse has said he's a front end engineer who has worked with Angular for 3 years. I confirm truly that he's done that based on the things that he's shared. They would check out your portfolio, check out your GitHub links, check out your LinkedIn, check out all the details that we need, and then we will give you a rating. Now, everyone who scores right now, our rating is currently about 7 over 10. Everyone who scores above 7 over 10 is in a good place to be shortlisted to clients for certain roles. And so we will then shortlist and pass you on to the client. The client makes the decision and decides, oh, I want to speak to Jesse. I want to speak to Amimo. I want to speak to a person. And then you're going to get into the tech interview stage. Sometimes it's one technical round, other times it's more than one technical round. And the beauty about all of this is through every step of the way, the talent team at Propel is going to handhold you. Working with you is just understand better and even help you prep for the interview. We do know that getting on interviews can be a bit tricky. So we'll help you work through those jitters and then help you present your best self to the clients. Yeah, and that's pretty much what the pipeline looks like, right?
I remember my first time applying for Andela as a UX person, and then I'm so good with the work, but then when it came to the real questions, okay, oh, how is your process of UX? Now that was the difficult part, and I hear you people are educating. That is amazing. For me, that was like, nah, I'm good at work, but I don't want to put in the work to also learn. But
Yeah, no, I don't really think it's that you don't want to put in the work. I think there's also the I don't know how to articulate the work that I do. So what we're really, really doing, the backbone of all the work that we do in the ecosystem team is just making sure that with shared content, we're offering practical insights into job searching, practical insights into CV writing, practical insights into interviewing. Because you don't have to wait till you are shortlisted to a client before you start practicing. And we know practice makes perfect. You become a better writer by writing. You become a better software engineer by just coding. So you become a better interviewer by interviewing. And so we aim to put out a lot of insightful content out there to help people position better. Because it's the problem is not that we don't know the work as Africans. The problem is we're just not good at positioning ourselves. And so that bridge is really what Propel is trying to help with, and just make sure that you're saying the right things, you have the right confidence, the right attitude, and everything needed to just push what you need to push.
You've had a lot of communities inside Propel, and the biggest challenge is now how do communities position like their own community towards growth and also ensure growth of the community members? Is this a question you've been posed with, or how do you handle like the growth of the communities beyond bootstrapping them towards the main key features of Propel?
Okay, so this growth, is that like within Propel's platform or just generally the community as a whole?
The community as a whole, because that is the essential part that you're dealing with. How do you ensure that this community produces the best without just like, because I know you're bootstrapping the communities towards key specific features, but how do you ensure like this is the best community and educating the community and ensuring this community is positioned well in possibly Nairobi, possibly in Lagos, possibly in Kigali?
Okay. So right now it's also through content and events. We send out a lot of useful resources that makes it easy for them to understand and do what needs to be done to grow their community. We do know that beyond, getting bootstraps or being able to run your current operations, that they need to also continue to drive um operations and drive more members joining. So we take a look at some of the programs that they have, we take a look at some of the events that they have, and make suggestions. And one key thing that we're looking to implement with our product is an analytics feature. So right now, most of the tools out there will just tell you or provide a platform for you to communicate with your members, but don't necessarily give you the analytics and the insights that you need to run your community or to improve your community. So if you can't grow what you don't know, right? And so we're starting off with making data visible for communities. We want to ensure that if you are GDG Nairobi, how many females do you have versus males? How many software engineers do you have versus data engineers? Those kind of actual insights that make it easy for you to then say, okay, as a community this year, one of our goals is to find more data engineers. And then you're going to push most of your initiatives towards that so that you can acquire more members in that area. So for us, one of the key ways we're going about helping communities drive that is through analytics. So for every community that's listed on our dashboard, they will be able to see how things are going. We're also um, trying to integrate on a couple of things. We have a lot of things in the pipeline and in the product roadmap. Integrations, the platforms, and then of course the analytics that I already mentioned, and the ability for them to be able to can just design their dashboard in a way that works for them. Some communities right now also ask their members for donations and things like that. We want to make that easy and scalable on a level whereby communities feel like they can just be on Propel and do their best work empowering the communities and creating all of these programs and events that keep their community members engaged.
Okay, that's interesting. So far, out of the communities that you've been having, which country has the best and active communities in Africa?
I'll be biased in this one. Right now it's Nigeria. And I'm not sure if that's because I'm Nigerian and it's just easier for me to kind of break into that setting. Most of my team, I lead a team of four. Most of my team is also from Nigeria. So in fact, this quarter and the next early next year, I'm looking to expand my team beyond Nigeria. I'm looking to have I'm looking to this is just my team. Propel is distributed. We have members all over the world in Kenya, in Portugal, and so on. But in my team, the ecosystem team, for some reason, I've just worked with a lot of Nigerians. So now I'm looking to find people from Kenya, people from also Northern Africa. We've seen so in the past couple of years, in the past 2 years, we've onboarded a lot of communities that are also French speaking. Now, I don't speak a lot of French apart from we and none, and so there's a need to also have the right people, so that you can create the right initiatives and meet the needs. Yes, so that diversity is much needed. So for now, yeah, it's Nigeria. Hopefully, it changes.
Is that because you've worked? I know you said
Yeah.
because probably you're from Nigeria, but is it because you've worked with Nigeria or the ecosystem in Nigeria? Because many startups that are funded are come from Nigeria. Many startups that grow come from Nigeria. Is it because the Nigerian ecosystem is so
Yeah, I
supportive
think
to
it's a
each
mix
other
of
compared to
different
the others?
things. There's the ecosystem one, like you mentioned. There's the startups that always originate from here. Most of the funding that's originating from here, and I think that fundamentally there's also a very low barrier to entry. It doesn't take that much to start off a community, and most Nigerians that start off don't necessarily start off thinking I need to incorporate this community or register it as a core business, right? Sometimes it's the other way around for some communities in other countries. You know, there's that need to be legally binded and all of that. So I think that also helps. And generally, I think Nigerians are just again, maybe I'm just biased. They're just overly confident. So if they think that there's something, they think there's a gap, they will just find a way to solve it. But I've had conversations with some of the most interesting people in Kenya. We partnered with Space Tech earlier this year, as well as Data Science East Africa. And there's some of the most amazing people I've seen. Also GDG Nairobi, right? In April, I think earlier this year, I met Marvin, Marcy, and these people are doing incredible work. I think what I love the most about what community builders do in general is almost every community builder I know has a day job. They have their own 9 to 5, but they still take the time to pour in, to give back, and to just create. So that in itself is mind blowing, and I think that transcends anything, race or country.
Do you think the community builders having the 9 to 5 helps in building the successful communities?
This is a tough one because it's what makes a successful community. So a number of things, right? And I'm a community builder myself. I have a STEM community for women. And I started that because, I was convinced that there were women in STEM. When we started off, you said there are just not so many women. And I'm like, no, that's not true. Because that's the narrative that I want to change. That's the narrative I'm all about changing. Because when I did start my career, in truth, I was the only girl working in a team of 8. And it did feel like I couldn't continue in here because I didn't have visibility. But as I went out and met other people, I realized that there were women. They may not be in the same company that you're in, but there are women out there, right? But I've had to manage mine with my 9 to 5, and that sometimes makes me ask the question: should I be running this full time, or should I have somebody running this full time? So I mean, what I do know with community builders that have a 9 to 5 is it's impossible to do it alone. So more than anything else, it's making sure that you have the right team. You have other people with you. And in terms of what makes a successful community, I would say it's about solving the right problems. There are very many at the core of everything that community builders do. There's a problem that you're trying to solve, and it can look different across board, right? Generally it might seem like, oh, you're all doing events or you're all doing workshops or you're all doing mentorship programs, but at the core there are different problems that each community is trying to solve. And if each community came together and just focused on solving those problems, then little by little, we're all going to make a difference, right? So I think it's a combination of solving the right problem. Of course, you need to know what that problem is, and then having the right team or working with a good group of people. Because in my experience, I've had cases whereby it just felt like you have a team of 5, but it seems like you're doing everything. So having the right team, a team that really just believe in you and kind of just follows through with taking and carrying the mission on their head, just like you would, I think that makes all the
Mhm.
difference, and that helps to create a successful community.
As you're winding up, what do you think is the role of communities and also the role of Propel in shaping the future of work, shaping the future of startups, shaping also the future of tech in Africa and also worldwide?
Yeah. So I mean, what we've seen is 8 out of 10 people who are looking to start off in tech or transition into tech, they start off by joining a community. It might not be that the community is strictly for networking. It might be a community that is running a program, an initiative or something. But they start off by looking for that group of people that they can relate with, that they can learn from. So communities have been shaping and creating a lot of difference on the continent today, and they will continue to do that in just driving inclusion, in driving acceleration, and in driving the growth of tech talent across board. No matter how many schools and technical programs come up, the truth is there's still not enough to meet the demand of the people that need to be trained. So communities will always serve as the building blocks for the growth of tech talent across Africa. Now, in terms of Propel, for us, our plan is just simply to make it easy for communities to grow and also for the members of their community to grow, right? The communities are pointless without the members. So it's impossible to create something for communities that does not impact their members. So we're constantly always just trying to make sure that everything that we do is centered around bridging existing gaps today. You're a community, you have a group of people, help them go to the next level, help them find a job, help them get placed, help them access finances, help them, access community benefits more and more and more. Basically, at the core of it, Propel is creating value across board for communities so that
Mhm.
they can accelerate their own.
Okay, the last thing. What advice would you give people who want to build communities such as I? What advice would you give? Because
My first question would be why? Isn't there enough?
no. We have, because like where I come from, there's lack of communities. I see people who are good devs and they lack a place to just go and network with other people, because possibly the place that is easiest for them needs transport, needs a lot of things, but then there is no such facilities, there's no such equipment. And I need to create something that is near to them so that we can network with the others. So, what solution or what advice would you give such people?
Okay. So two things. Be sure of the problem you're trying to solve, and then secondly, just create a path to success. I think often what something that is hard to measure with communities is, am I making progress? Am I making impact? So be clear about the problem that you're trying to solve, and be very clear about how you are creating a path, either for yourself or the members, so that at the core of it, at the end of a year or at the end of a particular period, you can look and say, yes, we made progress, we placed, we did that, whatever success looks like to you, define what success looks like to you and solve the right problems.
Is Propel only linked to tech?
Right now, yes. But we're not just doing tech in terms of software engineering. We also hire for roles in
Uh-huh.
cybersecurity, data, product management, product marketing, digital transformation, and so on.
We've come to a wrap of our podcast. It's been a short session and very lively. So, to anyone who wants to build a community, Propel is the right place, but also you need to join a community that is within your area. That is, for example, in Kenya, there's GTG Nairobi, there's Python Nairobi, there's lots of things that are linked to Nairobi in tech, and they are linked also to Propel. They have quite a big database. You can go check them. Uh, so, Wamide, where can they get Propel?
Propel the community.
Propel.community. So all the information is there,
Yes.
even on social media.
On social media, it's at with Propel. So we're on Instagram, we're on Twitter at with Propel. We're also on LinkedIn at with Propel. We're bright blue, so you would see us and know us.
Okay, no problem. So it's a wrap. I've been